Hey friends, welcome to the Vitruvian Life. My name is Kurt. Today is Wednesday, April 17th. It hasn't been a good day at work, folks. It hasn't been a good day at work. I got into a conflict with one of my bosses. Long story. I think I was right. There goes the cat. And again, the other one goes on the litter box just when I start taping. It's crazy. It's a conspiracy. So yeah, not a great time today at work. A little bit frustrated. It will be over tomorrow. I have to play futsal tonight, so I hope I keep my frustrations to myself and don't get my first yellow card in my life. That's something I'm very proud of, by the way. I've been playing football for almost 33 years and never had a yellow or red card in my life. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, talking about work, part 2 of my previous video. So the previous vlog I talked about my school, which directions I followed and what I did at school. So today I wanted to continue and talk about the jobs that I've done after school. So at a certain time I decided to, sadly enough, to quit school. I had been living on the money of my parents for too long. It wasn't going anywhere. I didn't feel like trying again something else. So I applied in, I started sending my resumes, and the first job was one that I did for 3 months. I'm not sure if, I'm going to look something. So, all right, let's see. Oops, I'm screwing up. I want to check a word in English. So I applied for a job through an interim office. Not sure if that's something that exists in the United States. So they look for a job for you, and they found one. I did it for 3 months, and normally after 3 months you get your real contract. The day before my trial period ended, I decided to quit. I did something like I put in some. I made invoices for container repairs, and I worked also at the front desk where the truck drivers came and to pick up or to drop off containers. But there was one colleague who worked there for a longer time than me, of course, and he made a lot of mistakes, but he found me to be the great target to push those mistakes too. So I was the one being blamed, and I had I know I didn't have a fight with him, but I went to my boss, and I said, that's it. I'm not going to sign my contract. I'm going to look for something else. Something else was also in the harbor of Antwerp, which was some expedition. So I did some administrative work, and I drove a car to different let me think, to different customs offices to get papers signed and stamped and all those things. Well, a lot of deadlines, stressful, but I really liked doing part-time office work and part-time being on the road, going to different places in the harbor of Antwerp. I really liked that. Sadly enough, after 6 months, they lost their biggest customer, and they had to lay off people. So their truck drivers, those working in the oh my goodness gracious, my English today sucks, in the stock and also in the office. I was one of the new folks, so I had to go, sadly enough. And then I had some trouble finding a new job when a friend of my mom told me they were looking for people in this optician stores, in this chain of optician stores in Belgium, and they are also in the Netherlands, and I think in France as well. It's called Hans Anders. So yeah, I was workless for a while, so I decided to take the job, to apply for the job, and I got the job. And then I did 5 years of being an optician. I did the measurements of eyes with which is better, this or this. I did all that. In the beginning, the first years, I also did made the glasses themselves. So that was pretty cool. We had to grind the glasses ourselves, which was pretty neat. After a few years, they all did it in a central place, and it took away a lot of the diversity of my job. After 5 years explaining the same things to people, there are only that many options in glasses that I was tired of it. So I decided to apply for a job in a video game store, because at that moment I was really into video games. And so I got hired, so that was pretty cool, and I did that for a year, and it was not exactly what I hoped for. So when I was applying for a job, I got a feeling I would really get into the world of video gaming, and get a lot of opportunities there to go places, to go to conventions and all that kind of jazz. That was nothing like that. It was just being a salesman, being a clerk in a store. And even though there were times that it was quiet and we were allowed to play games at work when everything else was done, of course, after a year I didn't feel like it was the job for a lifetime. So a friend of mine who worked in a different store, he told me they were looking for people, and I went to apply there. And they told me I got a job. So what I did was I quit my job, but that was the biggest mistake of my life, because I quit my job before I signed a new contract, and in the end I didn't got a contract in the other space where I applied. So after that, again, it was a hard time finding a new job. A couple of months workless, unemployed, which was a bad situation. I might talk about that in the future, about my financially dark time that I had. But then I saw this vacancy for a job in a big multimedia chain for also the video game department. I applied. I had the experience, and I got hired. And that was the beginning of 8 years working in that company, always in the entertainment department, which meant games, but also movies and music, which was very cool to do. It wasn't selling. I didn't have to be a real salesman, because people. It's not like selling a vacuum cleaner or a laptop where you try to sell the expensive ones. No, it's more helping people find what they are looking for, or suggesting movies or music to them, especially movies in that case, or video games. So I really like doing that. After a while, I became an assistant department manager. After that, I was still an assistant department manager, but without a department manager. So I did the job of a department manager. But I had a lot of things happening. So after 4 years in one store, they decided to merge with another big chain, and there were 2 stores very close by, and ours was going to close because the rent for their space for the store was very high, and they decided to keep the other store, which meant that with union stuff and like that, I had the opportunity to be laid off, and then I would be paid for 3 months, but not have a job, and we can't start fighting, and or to stay and to be placed in another store. So because of fear of losing a job and not finding a new one after 3 months of being paid, I decided to stay, and I moved to a different store, which made me travel by bus and train every day. I was at least on the road at least 3 hours each day, and sometimes there were strikes, there were delays in the trains station, a bus that didn't show up, so it was hell to get there. It was also hard to integrate myself. It was a new store, so it was just opening. It was hard to be part of the people because a lot of them knew each other because they lived around that place, and I was an outsider, and that was hard. And after 2 years, I finally found my place in those with those people. Sadly enough, sometime after that, they decided that they were going to move because it wasn't going too well, the store, and they were going to move to a different city again. So, and that was even farther away, even more hard for me to get there. So I started up this new store. I worked there for a couple of months. Again, at that time, I went by car because the train was absolutely horrible, the connection. So I worked there again in the entertainment department, but I already had told them that I would not stay there. So I was looking for a new job, and then I got transferred to another store that opened. It was more close by, but they were open longer, so I was home very late sometimes, and it was very quiet store. It didn't get a good start, and I was the only one who had suddenly a boss above me in my department, and I was bored as hell. Normally I would order the DVDs and the CDs, so I would talk to representatives of different companies. I would make orders, all those things, make sure that they were stuff to put into their commercial or their flyers or whatever. And now I just was a salesman, a more expensive salesman, because I was paid as an assistant department manager. And I was bored as hell, so I really started looking for something else. And that's how I came to the job where I am now, which is a barge planner at some place here in the harbor and very close by. It's if there is no traffic, it's probably a 5-minute drive, 15 minutes with by bike. It's stressful at times, especially since now I've also am responsible for planning a part of the truck drivers as well. So I'm doing barges and trucks now. It's a lot of planning, a lot of focusing, a lot of being aware what is happening. Today I was aware what was happening, but some colleagues of mine were not, honestly. But I got the blame of it because it all goes through me. If there, in the end, I'm the one who has to send the containers someplace, and today that didn't went as planned. Anyway, but I'm happy there. I make more money there. It's closer to home. I got 2 bosses. One that is apparently sometimes when he gets stressed is a yelling bully, and the other one has a lot of respect for me, and so and he keeps me out of he protects me, or he's got my back. Let me tell it like that. So that's where I am now. Do I have more ambition there? At this moment, I'm okay where I am. I'm not looking to be a boss there or something like that. I'm earning good money or decent money. Probably going to ask a raise someday because now I have to do the trucks as well. More work means more compensation, in my opinion, but I'm going to wait a little bit because I already got a raise last year. So let's wait for a while. I wish, by the way, a raise I never got at the where I worked before that in the big store, in the multimedia store. But that's my history of work. At this moment, I'm not looking for anything else. Of course, I'm still. I wished I was working for a board game company. That's how it is. Of course, I want to work in the hobby of board gaming, but it's hard to find a job there. It's hard to find a decent paid job, a full-time job. So at this moment, I'm still being out there in the community, being a part of Portal Games Benelux as a volunteer. People are getting to know me, and who knows, one day something might show up, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. So now, I have to pause because someone's at the door. Just a second. And now I have to edit this thing. So yeah, it was someone for a good cause. Might be something for a different day. When you do good causes at the door, do you always say yes or no? That's might be an interesting thing to talk about. But anyway, about work, let me know, what is your job? What is your dream job? What would you love to do? And maybe what are the most crazy jobs you ever did? I never had a crazy job, although I did a couple of weeks as a weekend job. I went to wash airplanes at an airport where they had to smuggle me on the tarmac, which succeeded as well, and all that crazy stuff. Might be a story for a different time. Anyway, let me know what you do as a job, if you have a job. Maybe you're still a student. Well, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this one. I know it's a little bit longer, but I wanted to do these two-part videos about my school life and my working career, if I can call it like something like that. Thanks again for being here. I think I will see you again on Friday. Hope to see you there then. Bye-bye.